Hello and welcome to the video. This one is a little bit different from normal. As I mentioned in a community post the other day, I think it's a little bit important that people talk about their mental health, and I hadn't really given a background as to why I started this channel, so I figured I would give that a quick go right now. Just to let you know, warning, not the most fun of topics, so I completely understand if you don't want to watch the entire thing, and there'll be a little bit less structure than normal, but yeah. Also, there were a few people in the comments of the community post saying that they wouldn't watch it because it would remind them of their own struggles. That's okay. The people who were saying stuff like "Don't bother talking about it because I'll unsubscribe," unsubscribe. Do it. To be honest, I want to foster a healthy environment on this channel anyway, and you can't do that by demanding that people not be honest. Anyway, gonna get into it now. So, first up, why do YouTube? And this is where the sort of unhappy stuff begins. And when I was younger, I was bullied quite badly. Told you it would be an unhappy mental health based thing. Basically, what happened was a lot of the kids in my year were very sporty and fairly aggressive, and they took that out in someone's direction, and that someone was me. And that was fun. And it turns out that at the same time as that, I was dealing with undiagnosed ADHD, which several people have mentioned in the comments of the community post. I am now diagnosed, but at the time, that was a hell of a mix. Being bullied and not quite knowing how to deal with emotional regulation and stuff like that, sort of combined into, oh dear, not good, the occasional emotional outburst. My earliest memories as a result are not very fun, and I promise this will get into why doing YouTube. And in response to that, I ended up getting a nickname that stuck for more than a decade. This was from all the bullying and stuff, and it's slowed down as I got into high school, but the nickname of Bernard, which I got in year 3, just stuck and wouldn't go away. And the fact that I was constantly being called that was a reminder of the crap times that I'd had, and that kind of broke me a little bit. It kind of formed a link between people that barely knew me, but only knew me by the nickname of Bernard. And this wasn't just a nickname, this was all people would call me. There was a link between new people calling me that and associating being called that with negative things. And I just sort of immediately assumed that people saw me in a negative light because of that. And that means that I now try way too hard to please people. And from my experience, there's not many better ways to please someone than doing YouTubey stuff, trying to entertain people, trying to make people laugh, trying to make people understand football stuff more, just trying to entertain. And I ultimately think that's why I do YouTube stuff, why I like doing front-facing stuff quite a lot, because it's a way that you can please people. And then I did that, and there are questions around why I moved away from my previous YouTube channel, Last Word FC. Some of you will know that this wasn't my first attempt at doing YouTube. I was previously on a YouTube channel called Last Word FC. I did it on behalf of a website called Last Word on Sports, who have a subdivision called Last Word on Football, which has a YouTube channel called Last Word FC. I initially started this YouTube channel, got a couple of hundred subscribers, and I went to the Last Word on Football lot and I said, I'll run your YouTube, because it's something that I'm not quite bad at. However, that wasn't my first of the... I tried at least 5 times in the past, including getting monetized on Twitch throughout COVID, which I thought was quite cool. But 90% of the time that I've tried that, imposter syndrome's kicked in. I've got into a situation where, are people only watching me because they feel pity for me? Are they watching me to laugh at me? Am I as good as the people around me in this environment? And this sort of stuff is why I feel it's important to talk about mental health and stuff, because I feel like a lot of people feel like that, no matter what they're doing, and they don't quite know how to communicate that. And Last Word FC was going really well for me, and it was very consistent, and it was one of the few times that I felt like when I was creating content, I was happy with what I was making. With the Twitch stuff, I was worried that I wasn't putting enough time and effort into it, and it wasn't good enough. With Last Word FC, I was like, this is going quite well. It's growing. People are liking the stuff. Hell, at the time I even got married, it was a really happy time for me. But then we have to ask the question of, why come back to this channel? And it's because the motivation immediately went after a big mental health hit. But first up, I have a very quick video to show you, and it's one that you might have seen if you watched the other channel. Give it a second now. It's there, isn't it? I thought it was that one.
It's there.
It's so good. There's so
many
of
them. The one with the mini screen.
Yeah. Hello, welcome to me being a little bit lost in the Squareball studio. I figured I'd do a little bit of a behind-the-scenes-y video because I'm doing a sort of series inside football stuff, and I figured I'd look at fan media with Michael here.
Hello.
Who not covers the square ball, who is effectively the logistics of the square ball and the unending nihilism of the square ball at the same time.
I try my best. Yeah, you joined us on the busiest day of the year so far with merch. The Christmas jumpers are all going out, so that's good.
Yeah.
It's a side people don't always see.
I would like to deeply apologise for getting in the way of that.
It's all right.
I've done my best to help.
The majority's there. I've got about 15 orders left.
That's not.
I'd plug the Christmas jumper, but I think they're probably sold out by the time this goes out. So thanks for buying them. So that is just one sort of clip from the longer video, but it's the last high effort video that I put into Last Word FC because the day before I had to record that, my granddad passed away. So the reason for that mental health, it was in my case, I lost a loved one. And there are a lot of things that I felt at the time and a lot of things that I am still feeling now about that. So I'm going to be completely honest about this part because, as I keep saying, not enough people are completely open and honest and conversational when it comes to mental health stuff. And I feel like normalizing that is important, and I can feel my voice going right now. And when I wrote this script initially, I had a little bit of a cry, but I'm going to try and get through it. Okay. So first up, I still feel guilty about the entire thing. I feel guilty about beforehand, about the fact that I have lived in Blackpool for a few years now and I barely got to see him. I felt guilty about the fact that the next day I went to record a podcast and put on a smile and I felt like I was grieving wrong, if that's a thing that you can do. And I felt guilty that, like, I don't know if I could have done more. In addition to that, I mentioned the fact that I got married prior to this happening, and it makes me really sad that he wasn't able to see me on what I thought was my best day because he couldn't make it. And it was unrelated, but he was ill at the time. His eyesight was going a little bit. He couldn't drive over to Blackpool, and it made me really personally upset that he wasn't able to see me at my best before he went. And the third thing, and there are so many emotions, I can't list them all, but another big one is I'm a little bit scared that I won't do him proud because he was such a big influence on me. And there's a little bit of me that's like, what if I don't live up to what I think he wanted me to be? And this might seem like it's not hugely related to why I'm not doing the Last Word FC channel anymore, but it does link back because it completely changed things. It changed my focus, my priorities, my goals, and what I like to spend my time doing. So at the time, my passion for doing Leeds stuff exploded. It went hugely up because one of my best memories of him was when I was younger. I was like 6, 7, something like that. It was being round at his house and watching, I think it might have been Final Score or something at the time, and just keeping track of a Leeds match. And it's such a weird little memory to have, but it's such a good one. But at the same time, my spark for sort of general footballing content just died. It completely disappeared because I think on that day in which I recorded the thing with Michael, like a switch flicked and it went from I need something to get passionate about, and that next day I'd already sorted press box access. I'd sorted a recording session with Michael, and that sort of sparked the passion and helped me to move forwards. But general football stuff, there still isn't something clicking there. I will still watch an unrelated game of football and feel a little bit flat about it because it's not back, if that makes sense. So I've tried to keep uploading on the Last Word FC channel. It's not clicking. I will get through writing notes for it and think, I don't hugely care. I can't put on, because you'll notice that, like, at the start of videos, I'll take a few seconds. I will test the audio. This is a bit that I cut, but I will always go like something like test, words, test words. And then I'll take a second to compose myself. I'll get myself into like a happy, and then I'll go today, and then the video goes. But I feel like I can't do that for general football stuff because I'm in a position where my priorities have changed. I want to do stuff that
I care about and that the people I care about, and general footballing stuff doesn't fit that right now. And it doesn't click. And I know for a fact that the Last Word on Football website, who are fantastic people, they don't want their YouTube channel to just be Leeds United, Leeds United, Leeds United, Leeds United. So I moved over to here. And I'm trying to do more general stuff on the other channel, but my mental health is just getting in the way because there's a block there now. And here we are. I've come over here with like mental health stuff basically killing one channel and shouting at me, do the other stuff. But I know it's not just me that suffers with this stuff. This is about all creators. It's not just an isolated issue, and it's something that not just Leeds United creators, not just YouTube creators, but everyone is struggling with. So larger YouTubers have completely left the platform in the past due to burnout, mental health issues. There was a YouTuber I watched when I was a kid who did gaming stuff, Nerd Cubed, who saw what his channel was doing, and his like trajectory was huge. Would have been tens of millions of subscribers, but he noticed I'm doing a highly edited video every single day, and it's killing me mentally. And I get that. And if I'd continue doing the Last Word FC stuff, which involves a few hours of research every single day, and then recording, and then thumbnailing, and then uploading, and making sure all the SEO stuff is correct, I'd burn out. So I've slowed down on doing that because there isn't the motivation there, and I don't want to force it. And it's not just the bigger YouTubers either. You've had Dan Moylan of The Square Ball, who has discussed his depression previously on podcasts. And to be clear, I did specifically ask Dan if I'm able to discuss his story on this because I don't want to like out someone's mental health issues. And he's discussed how therapy helped him, but he really, really struggled throughout that promotion season until things picked up. And he specifically mentioned when Leeds got promoted, he felt so much better, and he told his therapist about it, and he was like, it feels like a fraudy thing. Why do I feel so much better because of football? And it was just a coping thing. And that's what I think the Leeds stuff has become for me right now. It's being able to like convey stuff that matters to an audience that wants to listen. And I think that's quite important, if that makes any sense. I know I'm rambling at this point, but and it gets even worse when you're working full time, because I know for a fact there are fellow creators or people that want to be creators that work full time and do not have time to do any of it, but they still feel like they have to make themselves do stuff. Still feel like they have to get involved in the conversation and make stuff because there's an audience there that wants to hear from it. And YouTube itself doesn't help in the slightest. YouTube makes the problem worse, in my opinion. The YouTube Studio app, for example. I'm going to bring mine up right now. Or at least the bit that I think I'm allowed to show you. So, just going to quickly present the tab. I should have prepared this in advance. I hadn't planned to, but sod it. This Chrome tab is my YouTube Studio Analytics for my most recent video, The Secret to Leeds Going Up. You might not have seen this before because it's such a specific screen, but you've got some nice analytics. You've got what your videos usually get. And on a different screen that I can't show you because I don't know if I'm allowed to share the revenue that I'm earning, you've got more analytics that say this is a video that is performing at 6 out of 10. Or like there's an up arrow for it's doing better. And if it's a 1 out of 10, some fireworks go off and all that sort of stuff. Or if it's a down arrow, you're like, well, this is the ways you could improve. And it feels like it's designed to make you chase the bigger number. Like you're never going to quite be there because you can make a fantastic video, but the next day you make a video that's good and it's showing us like 4 out of 10, do better. And the fact that it's gamified means that you are forever pushed to push even harder. And like the YouTube algorithm also makes it worse. It encourages being consistent with uploads, and it encourages not missing a day of videos. And there have been days this past week or throughout the whole Grandad thing where I forced myself to make a video because I was like, well, the numbers have been good lately, but if I don't make something, they could immediately get bad. And you feel like you're stuck in this cycle of forcing yourself to make stuff. That's why I felt the need to ask in a community post, do I make this video? Because if people don't watch it, then they won't get recommended the next one. And if they're not recommended that one, they don't watch, and then you lose a viewer for God knows how long. And that's bad, especially for people that are doing this full time, which isn't me at the moment. But people that do it full time are sort of forced into, especially in January, I think Joe mentioned it on his stream, are pushed into, well, I need to make content. I need to keep on going, because if I don't, I miss a day. And if I miss a day, what if the viewer doesn't return? And if the viewer doesn't return, problems. And there's also another issue with niches. Sometimes you want to make stuff that is just outside the niche, and that doesn't get recommended. And when a viewer doesn't click on something, YouTube goes, oh, they might not be interested in that channel anymore, and it doesn't get recommended anymore, and it's a cycle. And the audience doesn't help either. I asked the audience if I should make this video, and someone immediately responded, no, I'm not going to watch that. I'm going to unsubscribe. And that's so demotivating. And we don't talk about mental health enough, both as content creators and as men in general. We are actively encouraged to not do that. And when a viewer says, I will unsubscribe if you talk about this, I don't care, it's such a hit. Because, I mean, shit, like, even scripting this video, I was like, am I being too open? Am I going to drive people away? And the fact that people are actively saying, don't do that, don't bother, I'll leave. You don't need to say that. And the fact that I felt like I was able to be open about my depression, my ADHD, recent things that I still can't like word because I know it immediately makes me sad, and I'm still in that position of not feeling like I can be vulnerable enough to like have a bit of a tear in my eye on camera. And I know that if I say it, it feels more real. And I know that if it feels more real, I cry. And I don't feel able to do that. And part of that comes from people like that saying, don't talk about that. No one wants to hear it. It's not good. So what now? I'm going to keep plodding on, and I will keep making YouTube videos. And throughout scripting and planning this video, I've sort of learned that it's okay to take breaks, and if I need to, I will, because I reflected and I went, that was a really unhealthy time to try and force myself to do stuff. But I also want to make you guys a promise that I will be 100% honest on the mental health stuff. I'm considering doing a small series of streams or videos with guests talking through the mental health stuff and how it links to football, and like origins of their channels and some of the struggles they're going through. And I've even had some creators asking like how they can improve. So I guess tying that into stuff would also help, but I'm also encouraging you to do the same. You to be as honest as you can with people that are close to you, or even in a comment section. If you're like, I've been struggling with stuff, people will reach out because people do care. Because for that one guy that left that shitty comment, there are so many people that are going to be happy to discuss this stuff and said, we really need to be talking about this. So I want this channel to be a safe environment where you can be yourself, basically, in the comments, and you don't feel like you have to like pretend that you enjoyed something or pretend that you're feeling great if you're not. And yeah, it's not quite the banger of an ending I was aiming for, but let me know your thoughts, I guess. If you enjoyed the video, like it, that'd be really nice. Subscribe if you aren't. I don't quite know how to end this one. Yeah, see you later.